there's a lot of podcasts out there. Do you listen to podcasts as well?
I do. And actually, I like a lot of political podcasts. So I
Right
like
on.
Morning Joe, like MSNBC, The Readout with Joy Reid. I think Destination White House might be another one. I guess you would think I would be listening to like a lot of drug podcasts and stuff like that, but you know, like not yet, not yet.
I hope you're ready for today's episode of Dead America doing NaPodPoMo. Let's get into this. Today we are with Hubert. He is the host of the Sex, Drugs, and Jesus podcast. Devanan, could you please introduce yourself and let people know just a little bit more about you, please?
Hey, everyone. And I'm so glad to be here today. And thank you so much, Ed, for inviting me to come on your show. I do not take this opportunity for granted. And my name is Hubert. I'm originally from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Honorably discharged veteran of the United States Air Force.
Thank you.
And
So we are going to talk about your unique podcast because this is the NaPodPoMo, and I am basically going around finding podcasters to highlight, and I found your podcast. I love the artwork, and the content is just mind-blowing. It's something refreshing and something we need more of in the world today. Tell us a little bit of why you started your podcast.
Well, my podcast started because we were working on the memoir. And then I heard, a lot of people who write books tend to have podcasts because there's some good cross promotion there. And so that's why it started in and of itself. Now the content is a different story because, it could have been about anything, but I chose to make it about sex, drugs, and Jesus because those are three important themes for my life. And I think that pretty much everybody has some sort of sexual side. Drugs speak to the part of us that like to have, great experiences. Drugs can be, but they really, it's really all about having fun. And then Jesus speaks to our spiritual side, or for some people, lack thereof. And so I feel like it covers everything. And those three themes are crucial to my backstory.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's very unique, and the combination of that topics is just excellent. You tout it, taboo topics in troubled times, and boy, are we living in some troubled times right now. Everybody wants to judge everybody, and I think we really need to start understanding people instead of trying to judge and condemn people. And that's why I really find what you're doing is fabulous and remarkable.
Well, thank you. I'm so happy that you feel that way about it. Hopefully somebody out there gets helped by the work that both of us are doing. I feel the same way about your work too, man.
Well, that's a compliment. Thank you. Because we really want to be inclusive on everything we do, and we need everybody to enjoy their life because everybody feels kind of dead and lost in America. That's kind of why our podcast wants to reach out and tell people, no, we got to accept people for who they are, what they are. It's unique, and that's what built America. Stop division and, bring in the healthy topics instead of this unhealthy arguing all the time. Who cares where you came from, what you're like, or why you're doing it. What matters is we understand all of these things. And some of the people you speak with include mental health experts, practitioners, and survivors. Could you talk a little bit of some of your interviews and some of the ones that really stand out to you?
The one that I really, really appreciated a lot was, I believe I was talking to Jay Schiffman, and we were talking about different like alternatives to recovery, like drug addiction recovery and things like that. And there's something out there called like harm reduction, for instance. That's like a different approach rather than like the different anonymous movements. And I really appreciated that episode because I struggled with my own drug addictions and everything, and never really took too much to the anonymous movements. And I really appreciated learning that that's not the only thing out there, be it like Alcoholics Anonymous, Crystal Meth Anonymous, or whatever the case may be, because they all stem from the AA program, no matter what the prefix is before anonymous. And so I really, really enjoyed getting his perspective and stuff like that, because it was great, to know that I wasn't alone in thinking like, okay, is there a different program out there that can help me get some control over myself than this?
Yeah. So your life has been very interesting, and a lot of struggle, survival, overcoming a lot of situation, judgment, and a lot of mental, crap that people throw out. How has that really played a role in making your choices on the people you bring onto your podcast and the content that you offer?
Having gone through the things that I have, means that I seek out people who have some sort of something that they've been through as well, that they're also willing to talk about, generally speaking. So like, I'm probably not going to want to have somebody on who wrote a book about, the 10 best ways to do X, Y, Z, unless they have been through something that would give some sort of credence to why they're talking about it in the first place. And that's not to take away from people who write self-help books and things like that without their own personal story in it. But, a lot of people they write a lot of books about everything but themselves. A lot of time,
Yeah.
because if you really sit down and pay attention to it, especially like a lot of pastors and preachers and stuff like that, they barely ever talk about themselves. But everybody's ready to tell somebody else what to do. But there's value in all of it. I'm not trying to take away from that, because I understand most people prefer to be private and to keep all of their goodies, good secrets and everything tucked, wherever it is they want them to be. But so for me, I need somebody who's willing to talk about themselves a lot, because that's the buy-in for people. That's what makes them relatable to people. And then we can talk about what they've learned that they're trying to get out there into the world.
Yeah, I agree. That makes very good conversation, and it helps people recognize they're not alone in their ordeals, because some of the things, those dark, depressive feelings that we get because of our own taboos, can really slap us sometimes. And it helps understanding other people go through some of the same thing, maybe not the same thing, but real similar. Talk to us about how you record your podcast. Do you do it over the phone? Do you do a remote recording? How do you record your podcast?
I have a pretty nice microphone that I plug into my MacBook, and I use Zoom.
So you prefer to use Zoom. Is there a particular reason why you prefer Zoom?
Well, That's what I've cut, as far as what I can see, for me is the best thing out there. The way that it is set up, the quality of their audio. I like the way I can go in there and fool with the quality of the videos too. Um, and then I'm a part of a community called that's hosted through podmatch.com. And that's like a group of people who host podcasts and people want to be guests on podcasts. It's kind of like a matchmaking service for that, which is really awesome. But the community of it is when we all get together and share ideas and things like that. And we have like workshops and Zoom meetings and stuff to talk about best practices and what's worked for some and what hasn't worked for others. And, you know, pretty much across the board, you know, at least 90% of the time, Zoom seems to prevail. And so from my own experience, it's worked easy for me, and the collective minds of all of us in the PodMatch community, by and large, seem to agree on that.
Yeah, a lot of people use Zoom. They have unique feature that you can actually split tracks and have independent audio tracks. That's a great feature when it comes to editing your podcast. So do you edit your own podcast, and how do you do that process of your podcast?
Right. And that's, I wasn't editing my own podcast, and I was spending way too much money paying someone else to do it for me until I got information from within the PodMatch community about an app called Descript. In Descript. There's several out there. This one here was super simple. And it kind of works like a Word document, the way you can just delete something and drag and drop it around. It's crazy easy. And that gave me the confidence to learn how to edit myself. So I use an app called Descript. You can edit videos in there, audio in there. It creates your transcripts for you and everything.
Yeah, that's unique about Descript. And actually, you can type words into that, and it kind of magically puts your voice into the spot. That's a unique feature of that program that you're using. I've used it very little, but I really like what they offer, and the technology is awesome. So who do you host your podcast with?
I use Transistor because that's what was recommended to me. And I looked at a few things, but I like Transistor the most. The aesthetics of their website, but it was just simple. It's just simple. You know, I put everything on there, and I think my show goes out to about 18 different podcasting platforms. I just put the one RSS feed in there every week, and all the description and show notes and everything, and then that's that.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about Transistor. What kind of features do they offer?
Well, I can tell you about the ones I use. I don't claim to be like a tech genius. It's like I was telling you before we got on about this new MacBook that I have. I only add stuff to it as I need to use it. I don't use all the capabilities of most things technological in my life. I just get out of it what I need.
Yeah.
And so,
what's the unique features you know of with Transistor?
I don't know if they're unique, but I can tell you that I like the fact that I can do I can upload multiple different shows in there if I have more than one podcast, or in the case, since mine is monetized, I have like a private version of it. That's the full length episodes. And then I have the free version that's like a quarter or a half length, well, a quarter or three-quarter sometimes, give or take, episodes in there. It sends out an email every week to my paid subscribers. I think it's great for SEO because I can add a transcript to like the transcript section of each show. And then I can also put all of that in the show notes section, and the picture and everything. It's got the SEO words and everything. I would imagine most of them would. I didn't really look into this. I just took the word of the production team that I used to have before I fired them. And, I like Transistor now and everything's there, so I'm not going to move it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing. If you have a podcast and you like the host, it's wise just to keep it there, because that 301 redirect that you have to go through to move your podcast can sometimes get pretty iffy. They're getting better at that, but still, it's better to pick a podcast host and stick with them. There's a lot of podcasts out there. Do you listen to podcasts as well?
I do. And actually, I like a lot of political podcasts. So I
Right
like
on.
Morning Joe, like MSNBC, The Readout with Joy Reid. I think Destination White House might be another one. I guess you would think I would be listening to like a lot of drug podcasts and stuff like that, but like not yet, not yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love podcasts, and I find so many different podcasts. The podcast I look for is stuff that I would normally not really be involved in. I want to explore and educate myself to the world that I live in. And podcasting has allowed me to do that so well. I love your website. Did you build that? And can you tell us more about your website?
I did not. And that's another reason why I use Transistor, because I don't think that they necessarily come with a website. Like some of the podcast hosting platforms come with like a website added on to it. And I think a lot of people go with other ones for that reason. And so anyway, so I actually went to 99designs.com, which is a website that you can go to create a contest on their website. And what they have is a conglomeration of a bunch of creative minds. And so anything you want to get designed, wedding invitations, a friggin' website. I got my podcast logo design there. You post a contest, you pay for it, write up the description, and then you start getting all these designs from all these different people. You select the winner, or more than one winner if you care to have that. And then boom. And so in the case of the website design, though, what you have once you get it designed is just a bunch of static designs. Then you have to get somebody to bring it to life. Now, the previous production team just had like a friend or somebody like that who was able to do it. And I have no idea, where that guy is or how to contact him. But the actual, which anybody can, not anybody, but it's not that hard to find somebody to bring a website to life. The issue is getting the design, and that was done at 99designs.com.
Yeah, that's a beautiful design that they laid out for you. And it's pretty intuitive and laid out well. I love it. So a website is very important. How do you use and coordinate and bring those two together as, a way to get more people to your show?
Well, I really, really rely on a lot of prayer and SEO.
Yeah.
Hopefully all those keywords and everything, the search engine optimization is what we're talking about when we say SEO. From building my first website, DownUnder Apparel, one thing I learned is that internet presence takes time, we're within our first year of the show with a website and everything, but it takes time to see what's going to work, what's not going to work. It takes time for your SEO to be tracked by Google and everything. And it takes time for people to find you.
Yeah.
And so even if you have all the money in the world and you want to throw at it, some stuff you just got to stay. You just got to stay long enough for it to happen. And so right now I'm focusing on consistency, being consistent with a weekly show, being consistent with keeping the website up to date and, adding new stuff as it comes along. And so the hope is that, between the cross branding and the wording that's used on the website and within the show notes and on Transistor, hopefully it all, adds up. Now, I do keep everything on the one website, sexdrugsandjesus.com. Transistor sends everything over there. Oh, Transistor, I do like the fact that like every week when I do a show, it'll send it straight to my YouTube channel for me. Now there's some formatting things with like the photos and everything like that. Someone just told me about this like not even that long ago. But yeah, it'll send that right over to the YouTube channel and stuff like that. And it opened a door for me to be able to do that because I was like, oh my God, I cannot add a YouTube channel right now. And I have time to be doing videos. And then I heard about that and I was like, oh, all I got to do is like do this and it'll just send it automatically. And I was like, score.
Yeah. Automation is very important. What type of automation do you use to get your podcasting done?
Well, pretty much podmatch.com is what I was mentioning earlier. That causes me to be able to save a lot of time because I set my profile up for a guest to be like a guest on other people's shows, but also as a host, and people go on there and message me to come on my show. I go through and read through their profiles and decide who I want to have and not. A big pressure that I was under is like, where the hell am I going to find people to come on the show?
Yes.
But podmatch.com fixed all that. It took a huge weight off of my shoulder. And I was able to focus on learning how to edit. And I was able to focus on all these other things and blogging and different stuff like that. And I haven't had to actually like go on Amazon and look for an author of a book or go digging through podcasts to find someone to come on my show. Like since I found like Podmatch, when I found them right when I was taking over production for myself. And so I just posted the profiles up there and I don't even go in there and search around for people anymore. They find me.
Yeah. That's unique how that works. I'm on a lot of those podcast directories. The ones I like a lot is that Podmatch. I like matchmaker.fm and Kitcaster. Another really good one is Audrey. They are excellent. So it really helps to know about those directories and get inside and really cross promote with other podcasters, because that's how people really find you, is through those cross promotions.
Right. That's like a huge thing as I understand it from getting into it. You know, it's a community. You know, we as human beings, we always seek out community, you know, in some form or fashion or the other, be it church, be it gangs, be it the criminal underworld and some other faction. Homeless people have a community. You know, I was homeless before and everything like that. And podcasting is a beautiful community. And, you know, people help each other, you know, to come up in this world and stuff like that. And it's an extended family and it's needed because a lot of podcasters are sitting alone in their basements.
Yeah.
You know,
that's so true.
We don't really see a lot of people, you know, a lot of times. And so,
well, you know, we actually seek those individuals out that are more understanding and favorable to a world that is doable for everybody. I think that's more of the ingestion that we do.
Yeah, because, you know, water seeks its own level. We do tend to want to be around people who make us comfortable.
Yes, that's true. So with your experience so far, what would be your recommendations for new fledgling podcasters?
I would say find community, be it podmatch.com or one of the two, Kitcaster or Aubrey, I think you said. I'm not familiar with those at all. But I would say find one because it's going to make your life a hell of a lot easier. That you can go in there and find suggestions and just message people or post, you know, about, hey, what microphone do I use? What equipment do I need to get started? That's why a lot of people don't do podcasts or they get intimidated because there's not like it's not very easy to just like Google, okay, how do I start a podcast?
Yeah.
And so it's much easier to get a community first. It'll save you so much money and so much time. And all you need is a good laptop, a good camera that you can plug in. It is not advisable to use the laptop camera, no matter how good it's supposed to be, because it makes a difference. It makes a difference in the production world. People can tell, and get a good microphone with just a laptop, a camera, and a microphone. That's all equipment you need. And so, and then just go from there and see what's going to work. You don't have to have a website. It's a nice touch, and it definitely helps. And you do need to get one eventually, but it's not necessary to start. It's just, you just got to get started, and then the rest will follow.
Yeah, that's good advice. So how can people find you and connect with you?
Everything with me is at sexdrugsandjesus.com. My email, everything is on there. The blog, you can link over to all the social media, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. It's all through that one hub. Free first chapter of my first book is on there. Everything's at that one website.
Well, I sure do thank you for being part of this year's NaPodPoMo with me. And I wish you very much success with your podcast. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate this time.